most people think of Alabama football, they actually think of Alabama football. The Crimson Tide is doing all right so far this season, 1-0, but there's another 1-0 team, also in Alabama, which thinks it's about time they got more attention. And they're right. When Paul Bryant died this year, there was little argument that a legend had passed. But there were legacies as well. All those athletes he touched and all those coaches he taught. One he taught now is in the same line of work, a couple of 100 miles down the road at Auburn. He is Pat Dye, a Southern gentleman who now finds himself in the position of perhaps becoming another Alabama legend.
When the job came open at Auburn, I knew that it was a perfect setting for my background and for me.
Pat Dye grew up in the South. For the exception of a short stay in Wyoming, has always worked in the South. Quite frankly, he's quite comfortable with Southern ways. For that matter, he's quite comfortable with the Southern roads and highways. He is a well-traveled recruiter down here. Indeed, recruiting may be Pat Dye's #1 asset. Some down here went so far to say Bear Bryant was a little worried about his former student coaching in the Southeastern Conference because Dye was such a good recruiter. Dye takes a more modest view.
There's so many football players here in this area that we live in. Quality high school players that come from quality high school programs. We're the luckiest coaches in the world that live here in this southeast area.
In his 2 years at Auburn, Dye has already put together a program strong enough to place high in the rankings and early out credible enough to prove Auburn means business.
He's a great organizer, he's intelligent, he's an innovator.
He's a great coach.
Coach Dye's great. Coach Dye's gonna make us all forget Bear Bryant.
If one word could describe Pat Dye, it might be work. He loves to work, loves to make people work, loves to watch them work, and loves to talk about work. You're on a real work ethic down here, is that what you're saying?
Well, you know, Pat, I was a 190-pound guard, and you know, I couldn't even play football if it wasn't for work.
Perhaps the one athlete who personified Pat Dye's theory of working was Greg Pratt, who was a walk-on with no scholarship, who earned himself a top position on the team.
Touchdown to the fullback, Greg Pratt. Beautiful run.
Tragically, Pratt collapsed during a preseason session in what is still referred to as a freak accident. He died of a heart attack. So, how did Pat Dye get his team through this ordeal? Work.
I think that our players and our coaches, assistant coaches, did a great job of working through that time period and not losing sight of our goals and realizing that, you know, that's what Greg would have wanted the team and the coaches to do.
The great football teams improve when you win.
Coach Dye seems to be settling into this job quite nicely. While his contract calls for a $58,000 yearly salary, the extras are staggering. A radio TV show deal, commercials, 2 cars, and this $410,000 home in Auburn. He will keep all this if he stays 14 years. He plans to do this and become the kind of teacher Bear Bryant was, but with his own work methods and style. And so far, it seems to be working.
We know what it takes to win, and we know that we're going to have to pay the price to get it done. And he's given us the faith to pay the price and believing that all the good things are going to happen to us and the goals that we've set will be reached.
I asked Coach Dye just how long he plans to stay at Auburn, and he said he plans to help raise his grandchildren there. And you know, Brent, with the kind of schedule he's got this season, it might seem like a lifetime. He's got Tennessee next week, Florida State, Kentucky, and at the end of the season, Georgia and Alabama back-to-back.
You know, I don't think there'll ever be another Bear Bryant down south, though, Pat.
No, I don't think so either. Bear Bryant was an extraordinary human being, an extraordinary coach. But you get over those things. I mean, they got over General Island in Tennessee. They got over New Rockney in Notre Dame. And Pat Dye, I think, he told me that there's enough football and enough legends in the South for everybody.
All right. We will continue here with the NCAA Today on CBS in just a moment.